we got the Call Me If You Get Lost Deluxe album, and it was incredible. I feel like since More Life, he kind of just makes playlists now, and he doesn't make real albums. Fuck rap battles. Who would win in a fight between Cole and Kendrick? That Mac Miller has debatably a top 5 discography in hip-hop history. Really hard. I think Jack Harlow is one of those people who's emerged recently that we're saying like, oh, he might be a superstar. Spotify is still not a profitable company. Welcome back to the Sound-Centric Podcast. I am your host, Adam Dash, and today we are joined by just myself. Today we're going to try something new. I've been interviewing a lot of amazing artists, managers, songwriters, content creators. I wanted to find a way for me to express some of my personal takes, some of my opinions, let you guys get to know me a little bit better. So I reached out on Twitter, on Instagram, to some of the Sound-Centric fans and asked them, what are some questions you would love to see Adam answer? So today, I pulled some of my favorite questions, and we're going to get down to the bottom of this. So first up, let's start with a great question from Hip Hop Takes. Hip Hop Takes asked me, your thoughts on the evolution of and/or the necessity of deluxes. So the current issue with the modern deluxe album is that they're released so quickly after the first album is released that you don't even have time to digest the first album. And sometimes it's so many songs that it's just like you just released another album. I think SZA's kind of going through this. I mean, she said leakers are the reason why Lana's not dropping. But she said, I have so many songs, this is just another album. It's not even deluxe. So respect to her for doing that. And this isn't even a deluxe, but we're seeing the issue of artists sometimes dropping so frequently that we don't have time to digest that first body of work. For example, Future and Metro are dropping in, I think, 10 days for that second album. And I haven't even gone through that first one enough to find the songs I love. You got to give the fans enough times to really play that album to death, run those songs into the ground. I mean, the whole Kendrick controversy is still a major thing in the atmosphere. And I think that's kind of made the album go to the backside currently and having people not really focus on the amazing music that's in it. But back to deluxes, I wanted to go through a couple examples of people who recently had some amazing deluxe albums. So just last year, Tyler, the Creator, who's released every single 2 years on schedule, I think his entire career. And last year, we thought we were getting a new album, but instead, we got the Call Me If You Get Lost Deluxe album. And it was incredible. Some people said it was one of the albums of the years, and it was just a deluxe. And another perfect example, it had been 2 years. He'd already toured the entire thing with Call Me If You Get Lost, and he came back with a couple more songs that were incredible. Another artist who I thought did this very incredibly and didn't wait 2 years necessarily to do that was Jordan Ward, who released Forward, my favorite album of the year by far. He dropped More Ward, which had the song with Black, Mustard, incredible. I don't have the track list in front of me. I should have. But and another example of an amazing deluxe album. And I think the thing was that he waited the proper amount of time. He let White Crocs go crazy. He let Fam Jam 4000 go crazy. He toured with JID and Smino. And then he came back with that little LeBron meme. Here go 5 more for y'all.
Thank y'all for taking on this ride with me. Yeah. You know what? Here go 2 more for y'all.
Yeah. Another example of someone doing this really well and in a creative way. I'm not the biggest Denzel Curry fan, or I am a Denzel Curry fan, but not this specific album, Melt My Eyes. That being said, he comes back with his deluxe album where all the beats are different. So it's the same songs, but it has more jazzier beats. Sick idea. Give the fans a whole new experience, a way of looking at the album. I bet some people like the jazzier version more than the original version. Also, that song with T-Pain on it is incredible. Love that one. And another example, Dreamville, Revenge of the Dreamers 4. For the 1-year anniversary, so another example of the artist taking, or artist, or the record label taking time. This time, they gave us a whole year to play those songs, watch the documentary. 1-year anniversary, they released a second, smaller documentary. And they gave us songs that were in the original documentary, like Still Up, that I was waiting for years. I was waiting for a year. Big Black Truck, JID, crazy song. And some of my favorite songs on this album are from the deluxe version. So I thought another very smart way of doing it. But some of these artists, man, like, chill out. We don't need a deluxe album 2 weeks after. And I know LeBron thought he invented it. You didn't. But I think that's the current issue. Give your fans some time to digest the album. It's weird saying as a fan, relax and stop dropping as much. But let's say I'm a huge Boldy James fan. I think it was last year when he kept dropping and dropping and dropping. And it's like, yo, I didn't even get to like really love that first one yet. Because music, some fans are reactionary. They know that Metro Boomin's my album of the year already. But for a lot of us, it takes time. It takes life experience to really get to know an album. Let me go on vacation with it. Let me go experience life with this album. And just dropping too frequently, it's like it's not even a deluxe. You just made a whole new album, man. All right, let's get to our next question. My guy Vic Singh asked, will AI music generators like this one, he plugged Suno AI, I'm not familiar with their work, replace paying real humans to make music for sync opportunities? So, people are very scared about AI. I think the greatest thing with AI is that it gives humans more room to be creative. It is supposed to help with the really boring task around the day and maybe around art that get an artist's way of being more creative. That being said, maybe I'm being ignorant. I don't see a world where AI music ever replaces actual art. I always find that the coolest thing about listening to music, or one of the coolest things, is listening to an artist and going, how the fuck did you think of that? How did someone with the same type of skin, same heart, same brain, same blood, how did they think of that? And why am I not as good as them at thinking about these things? Man, I'll be listening to Smino sometimes. I'm like, how the fuck? Why did you say that phrasing? How did you do those layered vocals? And I mean, who knows where AI is going to go? Maybe it will be just as good, but I think there's something about knowing that a human made something that makes it so much better. So we'll see. I mean, there's already that song, what was it, The Weeknd and Drake last year, that sounded like a hit song.
Talking to a diva, yeah, she on my nerves. She think that I need her, kick her to the curb. All I know is you could have had the world, yeah, you were my world. Got these girls on my neck, got these girls on my check. Like Selena, baby, on my Gina, baby, yeah.
And maybe certain artists have a formula that's easy to replicate. But there's certain artists out there that always do such new stuff that could something ever replicate that creativity. But, you know, who knows where AI is going to go. But I don't see it replacing. Maybe it makes beats for people. Maybe it's a cheaper option for artists coming up to ask for a Drake type beat and they give them a 40 underwater type sound. But I don't see that happening yet. So shout out to Vic for asking that question. My guy Mavi, name is Mavi on Twitter, amazing account. He asked, what's Drake got to do to win versus K-Dot? An incredible question. Because I think it's really weird. Right now, it's extremely cool to hate on Drake. It is fashionable. Honestly, if you're a Drake fan, you should be hiding. That's what they want to make you feel like. And I'm not necessarily a Drake stan. I don't think anyone can say they're not a Drake fan. He's got too many songs that connected too many people. He's not in my top 10. And that being said, people acting like he ain't been here before, back to back, he made a hit song. He said, is this a girls' tour, your world tour? This is not what she meant when she said to open up more. And I like Pusha T more than Drake, just for my personal taste. And Pusha wiped him. That being said, Duppy Freestyle, very good diss track. And Drake, we know, is the king of subliminals. I don't got to get into all the different examples of clever lines he did. So I don't doubt for a second that bar for bar, Drake could do something to debatably beat Kendrick. That being said, I think that Kendrick put him in a weird place and put Cole in a weird space, if you want to say that, similar to Pusha T. So I don't know for sure if Push had that information on Adonis when he made Infrared on Daytona, but it feels like he did. So Drake, it wasn't a no-win situation. Push threw the line in, Drake bid on it, and then he came and he had that locked and loaded.
You are hiding a child. Let that boy come home. Deadbeat motherfucker playing border patrol. Ooh.
And I feel like that's kind of similar to what's happening right now. It's like whatever Drake and Cole come with, they can't put their best stuff in that first round because Kendrick probably already has material that was just bait for, that he's bringing them in, and he knows how to destroy them. For all we know, Kendrick already has a song lined up that's going to smash whatever Drake or Cole could possibly say next. So Drake is in a weird position. To beat Kendrick in this battle, I mean, you just got to come with those bars, but to beat Kendrick as an artist, Drake, and as we just talked about before, I think some artists drop too much, and it's a weird thing to complain about. Drake's been dropping a lot. Like, a lot. And I think he could benefit from going on a break for a little bit and coming back with a full album. I feel like since More Life, He kind of just makes playlists now. He doesn't make real albums. So I think his artistry could benefit from that weight. And to beat Kendrick all time, there's always going to be people who talk about the hits. I just think he has to come back with some better albums because these albums have good songs, but not necessarily great bodies of work. But like I said, I think he could beat Kendrick bar for bar. I don't think Kendrick's unstoppable. I don't think anyone is unstoppable because Drake has proven he can do this. And if you want to ask if Cole can do this, I think he could. I mean, listen to Everybody Dies. Cole come with that energy. It's the return of the Mr. Burns suckers, not herpes infested, just perfectly blessed with the style you can't F with. Protect your recommended because Cole, I can stop now. So yes, I think Cole can do it, and I think Drake can do it. So now I have an incredible question that at the surface might have a very easy answer, but I want to dive into it. My guy, YK, asked me, fuck rap battles. Who would win in a fight between Cole and Kendrick? And you might be saying, Adam. Cole is 6'4". On Google, he's listed as 6'2", but he said you get exposed standing next to 6'4" people, and I gotta trust my man. And you might say, Adam, Cole's a professional athlete. What is Kendrick doing? Well, you know what? Cole's nickname isn't Kung Fu Cole. Kendrick's nickname is Kung Fu Kenny. So I want to break it down. Kendrick, standing at 5'5". I researched this. I do not know if it's true. 150 pounds. It's a pretty stocky build. And then we got Cole. 6'2 to 6'4 range, 185. Same Cole, twin. Is Cole going to be wearing Crocs or Pumas? That's important because we know Kendrick's wearing his Nike Cortezes. If the rules of this are an all-out cage match, you know, you might saying Cole's length would keep, pause, no diddy, would keep Kendrick away from him. But, you know, Kendrick's Kung Fu Kenny, and you know, there's that video of him doing prison workouts while listening to, what would you call it, Christian type gospel music. And I seen that video of Cam Newton doing that. Any person who works out the gospel music, be afraid of. Kendrick gives me the vibe of that guy at the bar that you kind of like mess around with, but then you see he's got cauliflower ear and you're like, fuck, I should not have said anything to that guy. So in a cage match, no rules. They can't bring any weapons. No kung fu type shit. Whatever you call those. I'm blanking on the name. I think Kendrick could give him a run for his money, but I think Cole is too athletic to, I don't think he's tall just for the sake of being tall. I think he knows how to use his body well. Pause. And this might be me being a J. Cole stan. Guys, I'm sorry. Could his hair come in? Can you pull hair in UFC? Someone please let me know that. Because maybe his hair could be an issue. Maybe Kendrick grab him down by his dreads, bring him around with the dreads. I think I find it hard, though, to see a world where Kendrick's bringing down Cole, unless Kendrick has crazy kung fu technique, and that nickname is not just a moniker, it's a lifestyle. I'd have to see that in action. But I'm gonna go Dreamville on this. I think Cole wins that battle. All right, next up, my guy Sir Shams, big supporter of the show. Shout out to you, man. He asked me. I'm gonna answer the bottom question because I didn't plan out an answer to that first question. He asked, what's your 2018 album of the year that didn't get Grammy nominated? So I'm not thoroughly researched on every single Grammy ever, but 2018 is probably the best group of nominations ever. You got Cardi B, Invasion of Privacy. It's one of the best-selling projects of all time. Mac Miller, Swimming. It's behind me right now. Debatably my favorite album of all time. You got Daytona, Pusha T. Debatably my favorite album of all time also. A return show, Boom Bap Still Here. Short, quick project produced by Kanye. Fucking insane. Then you got Nipsey Hussle, Victory Lap. So 2 posthumous albums that were incredible. Well, Victory Lap might have been made before he passed away. But by the time the nomination happened, I think he had passed away. And then you got Travis Scott's Astroworld, which you might forget, Swimming and Astroworld dropped on the exact same night, which was a crazy listening experience. And there's honestly, for any fan base that wants to argue that their favorite artist got robbed, there's a debate. Cardi won because of sales, and The Grammys switch every year if they care more about the sales or if they care more about the art, since Killer Mike won this year over Utopia. I don't think Utopia should have won, though. That's a different conversation, different day. An album that I think was amazing that year. It's really hard to get one more. If we could do like a 6 nomination, a 6-man, I'm going to throw in Boz Milky Way. I'm seeing Boz. This is going to come out April 3rd. I'm seeing Boz tonight to see him perform. We only talk about real shit when we're drunk or fucked up. And Boz Milky Way is such an amazing project. And I don't know if it's underrated, if that's the right word, because it had bangers on it. Tribe is a top 5 song for me of all time. You got Boca Raton with A$AP Ferg, amazing. You got Fragrance. You got Barack Obama Special. I think Boz is one of the best songwriters currently. Every song is so catchy. He can do a straight rap track if he wants to. He's very good at rapping, but he can also sing so well. And there's a reason why him and Cole work so well together. And he's doing background vocals on 100 Mil on Off Season and also on Let Go My Hands. He just has that sound to his voice. I think he's incredible. So Milky Way is an album that I would like to shout out today that could have rivaled some of those albums in the top 5. I'm not specifically a Victory Lap fan. I love the song with Kendrick Lamar. I think it's called Dedicate. But if I could swap out one, I guess I would swap out Boz Milky Way for Nipsey Hussle. Or play him as a 6-man. Lil Will right there. All right, next question. Reed Starks. Shout out to Reed. He's got a new EP dropping, new mixtape dropping soon. He said, what are Mac's top 3 albums? Mac Miller. So I think that Mac Miller has debatably a top 5 discography in hip-hop history. Let's see if I can name these all off the top of my head. Kids, Blue Slide Park, Macadelic, Watching Movies with the Sounds Off, Faces, Good AM, Divine Feminine, Swimming, Circles. There's some mixtapes, and there's a Larry Lovestein project. There's probably some smaller mixtapes in that discography, but that's generally what we talk about. And Mac has one of those discographies that when you ask people, what are your top 3? Your top 3 might not even have a single album that's the same as my top 3. I know there's a lot of people, such as my brothers, who grew up listening to Mac Miller, who was a similar age to them, so it was cool for them as Mac became more mature. They were becoming more mature in life. I think that lined up for a lot of fans. Me, being 22 right now, sometimes I went back non-linearly and listened to these albums. So something like Faces, I didn't bump till later in high school, and it's one of my favorite things ever. So I always have a revolving door for my top 4. For me, it's always been Faces, Good AM, Swimming, Circles. But today, one has to be left out to answer Reed as honest as I can. And this is a weird reason to leave an album out, but Circles came out my freshman year of college, and it generally takes me so back to my freshman dorm room and so back to that time, and I hate growing old, as anyone I think does, that I sometimes can't listen to that album. I can smell my dorm room. I can feel like I'm walking to class. I can picture myself on the bed, and it is such an amazing album. But I can't say I listen to it as much because I literally get too sad listening to it and also thinking that it's Mac's last album potentially ever, unless the family decides to drop Maclib. But Faces, one of the best mixtapes of all time. Him and Josh Berg in there in the Sanctuary. No, that's Cole. In the Red Room, I think. And Mac is playing all these instruments. The song Friends with Schoolboy Q is like 7 minutes long, and it's weird, and it's one of my favorite songs ever. I love the ad-libs on it. He's got depressing music on this, obviously. Some music that seems like it was fortune-telling his later downfall, but I don't think that's true. I just think he was making music at the time that he thought was fun and kind of expressing where he was in life. But Faces, so incredible. Good AM, I think, is Mac's best rapping ever. He was living with Rick Rubin, I think in one of the best mind states of his life, it seems, per interviews. And, I mean, it's just fucking amazing. If you want to listen to like an album in the gym by Mac, like Good AM, amazing. You got what's the fucking song that, Godspeed, which another track you might say was predicting his future downfall, but it's really hard to listen to now, but amazing song. But Time Flies, amazing track. Brand Name, amazing track. Trying to think off the top of my head. I should have loaded these track list up. But Good AM, amazing. And Circles. What, like, he was 27, 26 making this. I think people forget that. Like, Jay-Z made Reasonable Doubt when he was 27, his first album. Mac Miller was 26, making whatever number album this was in his career, was making his best work yet. Swimming's amazing. And that tour was supposed to have Thundercat and JID. Man, what a tour that would be. And it's so sad to think about the music that Mac Miller would be making today, because we all know it'd be amazing. There's not many people who collaborate with so many artists and get the best out of them like he does. It's very similar to Kanye to me. It's very similar to Tyler, the Creator. And he told Vince Staples with his first project, like, I'll give you these beats for free. Just buy me a car when you get big.
And he took me on tour, and he didn't want no publish. He said, if you make $1 million, buy me a S-Class Benz or something like that. He
Publishing
said.
Off the beats he made?
Yeah, the whole project. He gave me ownership of it.
That's
and all
dope.
that. He just said, if you make a gang of money, just give me like a S-Class.
He put on so many artists. He took Chance, Action, Bronson, and Earl on tour. Maybe it was Vince. Mac was one of those guys that put on so much for the culture and put so many of your favorite artists on, and he never seemed to seek out praise for that. He's just the fucking man. So shout out to Mac. Okay, next question. Let's find it on here. My guy PJ, he asked a bunch of questions, so we're gonna go through these one by one. Question 1. The album is dying out. I guess that's more of a statement than a question, but I'll frame it. Is the album dying out? So, the glass half full. It's actually 1/4 full. Would like to say that the album is not dying out. As an independent artist or an artist who's rising, you might not be able to sometimes construct the album the way you want. Sometimes you can't have an intro sounding song. Sometimes you need to get the listener right into your stuff. Put your best song first. That is a way you can go about marketing and getting the most ears to continue listening to your album, because the goal, same thing with these videos I'm making. The goal is to get people to to keep listening and not leave the app, go to something else. But some artists still like to make albums that have a story to it, have a sound, have transitions to it. And I think long albums are maybe dying. Even some of my favorite artists, if J. Cole dropped an album with 25 songs, I'd be like, ugh, you're my GOAT, but I don't know if I want to. It's hard to digest that much music, and you're bound to have songs that aren't as good as the others. And I think in most cases, people would rather have 10, 12 songs they really loved. Even if those 12 songs were in that 25-song project, I think it just makes the whole experience that much better. So I don't think albums are dying. I think artists just have to get more creative with the way they go about making them. I mean, a few years ago, we saw Tiara Whack make Whack World. It was about 10, 15 songs, but they were all 1 minute long. And she made a whole music video with every single song being 1 minute. Like, what a super creative way to get into things. And I would like to say that albums are not dying. PJ's second question was, music videos are pointless. And I would like, again, to disagree with that. And this might be my personal opinion. I think sometimes a music video can make you connect to a song that much more, or it can create the aesthetic for the song. I forget what that disorder is when you see colors when you listen to music. Synthesization. I think like Pharrell has that. Like, you see colors when you're like, oh, that song's purple. I think a music video can sometimes create that for people, and certain colors have a vibe to it. So I'm going to use the example of Tribe by Boz and J. Cole. The music video is nothing like special editing-wise, but it's very orange and bright and colorful. And I think that song, I play it in those types of settings, in the summer colorful setting, because it made that for me. A video like ASAP Forever, I think that's the coolest music video of all time. That song's incredible. It made me love it that much more. Another great example, Palisades, California by Larry June, Big Sean, The Alchemist. I saw the video on Twitter first. I didn't hear the song first. And just seeing the cool video and hearing Sean rap that, it made it end up being, I think, my third favorite song of last year by like Mountain Times I played it. And now that you don't need $1 million budget. This ain't like MTV videos. You don't need popping bottles. You can make really creative videos with a very cheap budget. And you can go on your iPhone. It shoots just as well as a camera. You can get an app that's free. You can get an app that's like $5 a month. Do some cool editing on it. So I think maybe it's harder now for your music video to differentiate because we do have this ability to make whatever we want. But I don't think music videos are dead. I think they are so important. You go on TikTok and that's how you discover an artist. So make video content that fits horizontally but also works vertically. And I don't see videos not being important anymore. PJ's third question. There are not going to be any more music superstars. This one we've talked about in the podcast before. Firmly agree with him. I think this day and age, we know too much about artists, and there's too many artists out there for us to put someone on the status of like untouchable, which I think a superstar is. It's really hard. I think Jack Harlow is one of those people who's emerged recently that we're seeing like, oh, he might be a superstar, and he has a great personality outside of his music that he's making, which helps. But you know, sometimes like they say one comment in an interview and it just gets blasted so much more than maybe it would have 20 years ago. Or we hear about what a rapper's doing in the club or their home life. And maybe that's not a bad thing that we're hearing more about these people and maybe the negative sides of them, so we don't put them on that pedestal of a superstar. But the reason like Kendrick and Drake, and well, Drake shares a lot, but Cole and Kendrick, you know, they just go home to their families. There's like The Weeknd, superstar, Taylor Swift. So I just don't really see another one emerging because I think it's going to be really hard. People keep saying, like, who's the next after the big three leaves hip-hop? And there was times when it seemed like Chance the Rapper was going to do it, then he drops The Big Day. Travis Scott was going to do it, then Astroworld Fest happens. Some might say Future has been there the whole time. I don't know. I'm not the biggest Future fan to put him in that category. But I think it's going to be really hard for an artist to emerge with no issues and amazing music and amazing personality, and doesn't share too much about their lives where we hate them, but shares just enough where we feel emotionally attached to them. I'm a little pessimistic on that one. Then we got labels will be extinct in 5 years. I'm not going to act like I know the ins and outs of a record label. I'm going to say no to this one. I think this is the best time ever to be an independent artist. That being said, I think labels act like a bank. They are giving artists these loans and they're expecting to recoup that with the album. That is their goal. And I think they will not always, for now, for the next 5 years, I see them continuing to play a role. We're seeing UMG starting to partner with Spotify, and I think those types of partnerships are only going to like keep their legitimacy and importance to music alive. And we'll see what happens with TikTok and UMG. But I think record labels will still be a thing. Number 5, last question from PJ. Spotify will soon replace social media. No. I'll put a graphic up. Spotify is still not a profitable company, and they just had huge layoffs this year, but they are such an important company, and I know they're starting to make a kind of a TikTok feed, but I don't think people are going to go to Spotify for comedy content or sketch comedy content or history content the way we go to TikTok or YouTube for, or the way I don't think you can interact. Maybe they'll make a platform that you can interact the same way we interact on Twitter or X. I'm addicted to X/Twitter. I think it's the best for actually like commenting and like building communities. Because I think it's hard with TikTok, Instagram. You really have to scroll down. I think Twitter's easier to use. But no, I don't think Spotify will replace social media. And yeah, those are all the questions I was asked this time. Maybe I'll do this again if you guys enjoyed this episode and hearing me kind of express my thoughts on these questions. And yeah, if you drop music, please submit music to me. Oh, shout out to Pop Stunner. He has a tape coming out, and he sent me this really dope hat. Shout out to you, dog. I'm always trying to find new ways to highlight artists. I'm always trying to listen to new music. So please drop a link, submit it to submissions at soundcentricmusic.com, or send it directly to me, Adam-Dash at soundcentricmusic.com. And we shall see you next time. Peace.